Monday, March 31st, market analysis. Stan Ehrlich, good morning. Well, we have what could be a little bit of a low building today. We have dropped from the high of Wednesday of last week. On Wednesday's close, quite a bit, a little bit more on Thursday, and a lot more on Friday, plus a rather sizable chunk more today and today. This morning, we got extremely close to my minimum downside objective because of the double, triple tops I've been talking about for way over a month. RSI almost hit 25, almost oversold, and a support area we dropped into for the second time. The first time was on January 13th, and it bounced very nicely for about a week and a half. Today is the second time, a little bit lower, a little bit of a new low, and we are not staying in the support area. We are bouncing out of it fairly decently. In some cases, making new highs for the session, which in some cases started, of course, yesterday afternoon, and in other cases, 6:30 California time this morning. So I'm very interested in this move. If we can get some more upside follow through, and here's the 1 minute chart on the E-mini. We're periodically, relatively quickly, making new highs on the rally. I like what I see. New highs for the morning or for the session since yesterday afternoon when it did gap down, and that gap is now closed. So this is really interesting. If we can stay here or even climb more, especially if we can have some sort of a strong close, very strong. And we're still down, a point and a half. Not like we were earlier, that's for sure. And yes, this kind of a break here that ended up bottoming out very shortly after the normal opening of 6:30 California time, and that started essentially the break. New lows, bottom out in 15 minutes, came all the way up to new highs for the session. Looks like it's trying to turn around to me. Just can't be quite sure enough at the moment. What about the SPY? High and last, pretty much, down only a point and a half, made lower lows than the 13th of January, March 13th, and almost got to my minimum downside objective because of the double and or triple top. Not quite in a support area, so that didn't match up, but there are a bunch of other reasons here. Gapping down this morning and then coming back up and closing the gap in some cases. Let's take a look at the spider 1 minute. Yeah, opened, dropped sharply, turned around, chewing its way back up. If we're going to have a low, this is probably going to get up above 557 and stay there or more. Closing higher on the day and well above the lows of Friday. Yeah, that could develop into something. But we do have a lot of resistance above, and it's too early to say, and I just am curious as to this activity. Now, the QQQ did make it to my minimum downside objective that I have been talking about 460 or a little under, more likely than not since about a month ago, the end of February. Way up here in price. So that's come and gone, done. Do we have a downside exhaustion gap? So far, maybe. Did we get to oversold? Really close, but not quite there, 25.42, but super close. So that almost helps. We could end up with an island bottom, kind of doubt that. They're very, very rare. So you have to leave a gap behind, close relatively close to the high of the day today, and gap up tomorrow morning. Then we might have an island. But again, they're extremely rare. But yeah, this is looking interesting. I just can't come to the conclusion that we should be making a low here. I do like some of the aspects of this kind of movement, though. Okay, what about the Russell? I meant the NASDAQ futures. Well, again, like the QQQ, it made it. NQ reached its downside objective, basically the bottom of the support area, turned around, and has actually almost made new highs for the session. That was actually yesterday, a little while after the opening, Sunday afternoon, California time. Didn't quite make a new high. Looks like it's going to, but I can't really tell. I like what I see in terms of turning around, but not good enough. Still think there's possibilities of lower levels, but maybe after a little bit of a bounce. YM, different story. Dow, rally up to resistance, stopped, turned around, and has not made a new low. It's not even halfway down to my minimum downside objective, all the way down to the 38,726, 25, 725, which is still the objective. But this is held up so much better than the SPY and the NQ that if they do turn around down here, the NASDAQ or the Dow Jones, I'm sorry, is not going to get all the way to its objective, and we might end up with a little double bottom at support area. Getting a little bit complicated. When things agree and they do about the same, that's a lot easier. Anyway, I can't help but to be still bearish on the YM, but all of a sudden it's kind of like it by itself a little bit. Or I'm not going to get there ever, and we're turning around, and I can't tell yet. We are a little higher on the day. The 1 minute chart has been making, since the beginning of the session yesterday afternoon, new highs for a couple of hours now, and is pretty much doing the best of any of the indexes. Let's go look at the Russell. Not higher on the day. It did what the spider did and the NASDAQ did. It made a new low for the move down, but into a support area, and like the others, extremely close to oversold. So there are a variety of factors developing this morning in the indexes in general that caused me to open my eyes a little wider, saying, is this the bottom? Can't really tell yet. A little bit more of a rally, yeah, but is that going to convince me? Not at this particular point. I think we got to really do something more in terms of building some trading range. But it does look very interesting. Russell 1 minute, no new high for the session. This does have the earmarks of being exhaustion weakness. Okay, we're going to find out. Bonds, yay! Well, my timing was off this time, but my price objectives were almost exact. I was looking for 115.11. You know that. My recordings day after day after day for a couple of weeks plus was mentioning that, but I was looking for the low to come around March 14th. The low actually seems to have come on Thursday of last week at my price objective plus 3 ticks lower. Big deal. But it was a couple of weeks late. And now we've had two, Friday and today, strong rallies. At the moment, we're giving up a lot of the strength we had earlier, but it gained a lot of ground up into resistance and pulling back a little. I'm liking what I'm seeing. This now looks very much like the head and shoulder bottom I wanted to be able to talk about. I am now going to erase my circle, but I'm going to shift the annotation to the right to match up with the low of last week. And nothing looks wrong about this. Price levels are correct. Timing is a little bit late, but that's okay. This formation is approximately 5-6 months in duration. You're not going to be able to very frequently be correct on both the price objective like I was and the time frame, although occasionally they do work out pretty good. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm turning bullish, head and shoulder bottom. We're going to be watching in the next week or two for the neckline to get broken. The upside objective on the head and shoulder bottom is up to about 129 almost. That move above 127 3/4 is going to trigger off an objective on a broad double bottom formation over a year and a half, with both lows, December 23 of 2023 and the low that we made on January 14th are both bullish ER buy signals, green. Both lows on the broad double bottom. Great, couldn't get better. The second green, January 14th, is the head of a head and shoulder bottom that's not only relatively small at the time, that did work past tense, but it now looks like it's the low on a bigger one that has taken 5 months or so to develop. And I'm liking what I see as far as the low on Thursday of last week. And for 10-year notes, it's the same. So let me grab my little annotation here and pull it. Oh, I didn't want to do that. And let's see if I can do it this way. I'm going to leave it alone. I'll move it later. And it's going to go underneath, Thursday's low. Now, the neckline here is not too damn far away. We're 1202, basically, and a half. 04, 1204. Just a little bit above 112. And we're at 111.08 at the moment, so less than a point away. Could happen pretty quickly. We're not overbought. Maybe this week we're going to have a breakout head and shoulder bottom in 10-year notes. That's the 6-month formation. Says we're going to go up to 116, almost 117. And if you're looking at the double bottom over a year and a half, wow, that has an upside objective of 124 and a half. Crude just got overbought today. Is almost up to the line that I left. Is back up into a generalized resistance area, not very well defined. I don't have a rectangle outlining that, but maybe we're going to get up to 73 now because of overbought conditions and a very strong 2-day rally. We could be topping out at any time. Watch for sell signals in crude oil at this point and for the next at least several days, maybe longer, and probably not a lot higher. Heating oil. Bullish engulfing today, but almost overbought. I think we've got just a little bit more strength, maybe not. This could be one of my bass backwards reversals. I can't tell yet. I'm going to be beginning to watch for sell signals very soon here in heating oil. Maybe a little bit more strength. I've got what I wanted because of oversold and it turned, and we had a nice move. I think we're mostly over. Watching for sell signals. Now, natural gas gapped up quite a bit. I'm double checking on that, reloading data pretty quickly here just to see if there's anything to be filled in. Sometimes the data feed is a little temperamental. It'll take another few seconds. Assuming this is good, and it looks like it is good, we have a very sharp rally on a gap up. Gaps are almost always closed. It's still loading. Let me see here. We could have a correction. I think we could. Just a second. The strategy is still developing or loading. Is that the 31st? No. Still calculating the strategy, and now almost finished. Let me see if I can pull this to the left. Is that today? No. I think I'm going to have to pass on natural gas for the moment. I think what's happened is a rollover to different contract months that didn't happen the way it should. So I'm going to pass, sorry, on natural gas. Next, we have a gap up today in gold. This is the June contract. It's overbought. This looks like it's in the territory, price range, and the way it's moving, like an exhaustion gap. It did get to my minimum upside objective today. It's there right now with overbought conditions and an up gap. This could be an exhaustion gap. Watch for a turn down in gold at this point. What about silver? Silver topped out so far on Friday almost exactly on time and on price. I wanted it to be just a little bit below the top of this blue pointer, so to speak. And I'm one day earlier than I thought and a little bit higher than I thought. So one might want to call it a double top. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It could be a last shoulder high. The neckline still is a relevant line, and the downside objective is still in the same ballpark, a little bit lower for a double top formation, a downside objective. But let's just see this thing start in the first place. So if we had topped out on Friday, this has got a long ways down to go. We're going to bounce off support, maybe, maybe not. We got a neckline to deal with way down around 31. We got a downside objective that's really, really bearish at 20, a little below 24. We're at 35, 34.60 at the moment. Big bear market coming in silver if it works correctly. And we got a rally in platinum, not overbought, outside trading range, normally just plain bullish. So we're getting some mixed signals. Gold could top out, silver looking a little more likely, platinum not at all. But it is coming up to resistance. So, the rock and a hard spot, unfortunately. So it could roll over. And I just won't be able to pick the right spot for you very easily. Copper, overbought, did get up to a little resistance level on Friday that I had outlined here, drawn on the chart. And it's dropped off very sharply. A new low for the previous 4 trading days, all today from a high that was just on Friday. And again, today's Monday. So staying soft, staying down. I think we have begun a break that's going to come down to test support at a minimum. 4.9, maybe 4.85. And I wouldn't doubt that it would come down to the next support area, 4.6. Looking for lower levels in copper. I think we turned on Friday. Next, the grain complex. I'm liking more what I see in terms of long-term bottoms. Momentarily, we sold off a little bit longer than, say, an hour ago that I saw it last, but we do have a higher high for about 3 weeks. No reversals at the moment of any consequence. Could dribble down a little bit more and then turn up to a new high. I'm thinking we're going to see new highs this week. We're not going to go much lower. I don't expect it to go below 997. Turning back up at any time would be fine with me. Do we have any friends here? Soybean oils made a new high. It's above resistance, but it did get a little overbought on Friday and today again. So overbought conditions imply that it's going to stall out, maybe go flat, probably not. Have a little downside correction, probably. And I could allow it to dribble down to 43.15 or a little higher than that. But I'm hoping for new highs this week above today's highs. Now, I haven't drawn them in yet, but I think there's a shoulder, February of 2024. Another shoulder. Looks a little like a double, but I think it's just pretty much a single. And I'm pegging it at early May of 2024. The head is obvious, August 19th of 2024, August 16th. And the first inside shoulder is pretty obvious. It's about December 23rd, Christmas of last year. And the last shoulder low appears to have been made March 13th with a bullish engulfing a few days later, starting this particular rally, which is great. But momentary overbought after having had a few strong days, could be a minor dip and then new highs. This head and shoulder is large. Year and a half. Something along those lines. The neckline I've got drawn in is up around 50 and a half, a little over 50. and would have an approximate upside objective of a little over 61, close to 62. Big move if it works. And so far, yes, it is starting to do what I would expect it to do. How we get up to the neckline and what zigzagging method and bouncing through resistance and stuff remains to be seen, but that's basically what I'm looking for at this point. But right now, maybe a few days down, maybe the balance of the week sideways to a little lower, but I don't think it's going to kill the upside move that I think we've gotten started off the low of the shoulder. Do we have anything here for wheat? Sorry, soybean meal. Well, a new low without downside follow through for many, many months on Friday. Friday, it made the new lows, but it closed well above the day before's low and the lowest low for the trend for many, many months, bouncing back pretty good. Didn't close higher, but it didn't close as low as you would have expected if it was starting another leg down. Today, we made a slightly higher high and a little bit of a dip at the moment. I'm going to have to hold off on being optimistic about this, not quite getting as much follow through the day after the bottom day, maybe, as I'd like. So shut the heck up. Next, corn. Green, bullish engulfing, ER buy signal yesterday. Friday, I meant. Double bottom. They're almost exactly the same price on March 4th. It is about a 3-week double bottom, which by itself, I think, is the last shoulder low on a head and shoulder bottom where we got the head of the formation in August of 24 and the first shoulder low, another bullish engulfing on February 26th of 24. That means the first shoulder's got a buy signal. The last shoulder's got a buy signal. Maybe too soon to tell, but it's Friday and we are up nicely. And the bottom is a bottom formation by itself, where at least on the first shoulder and the last shoulder, we have another combination of buy signals. Unfortunately, not at the bottom. You know, these two lows are exactly the same price and almost oversold. If on August 27th, we had made another penny or two new lows, I'm pretty sure we would have been oversold. We would have had a green bullish engulfing, and that would have been all three major turning points on this pattern, assuming, and it's a little bit of a stretch, it's only been one day up, that Friday was the last part of the last shoulder. What about wheat? Oversold, bouncing nicely. This is after new lows for many, 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 many months, multiple years. A little too soon to tell. This does have the earmarks of something important longer term. It's not obvious at this particular point to me. I need to fiddle around a little, probably no new lows, get above the resistance at 559, and then start closing above 575 to be a lot more convinced that the low we had on Friday is really, really important. So I've got to have some more fiddling around here and strength. Okay, what about cattle? We got the sell signal at the top of the market on March 21st, down for a couple of days, up to test resistance, did not make a higher high, got overbought again, dropped off a little on Friday after Thursday's little high, and Friday a tiny bit higher high, and down today. Yeah, this still looks like it's in the process of topping out. I'm liking the bear side of it at the moment on cattle. Hogs, I'm still caught between a rock and a hard spot. I don't know what to say in hogs. Neutral. No, I'm just waiting. And we got the two securities that I've been watching. Shell, outside update today, but we're overbought. And we may have a divergence here. We do have the higher highs in price over about a week. We do not have a higher high in the indicator, in this case RSI, diverging. We do have a little dip in progress, except this morning we've developed a bullish engulfing. But the problem is we're overbought still. And there's a gap to close below the market, not too much lower. Get down to 71.36, you've done the gap closure trick. But then you've got support below the market. Let's see it get softer quicker here. I'm looking for today's lows to be broken before the end of the week if I'm going to be right about this divergence top formation, and I moved down to probably 68.50. But I got to see this thing start to slip. I'm not short yet. I'm looking for some confirmation that we are, in fact, rolling over. Back to Apple, my last one. It's a stock, of course. We hit the great buy signal on March 21st. It rallied for approximately 3 days. Did not get overbought, just rolled over and came down some. I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm still friendly. There's no we could still have more of a rally. A little bit of a loss as to what to say, except I like the buy signal. I don't see this as being a top of any kind, and I think we're going to start to see slightly higher new highs. Back to the E-mini. High and last, coming up some more. Yep, while I was yakking away here, new high for the session, new high for the day. SPY about the same. QQQ 1 minute, not quite the same. Oh, that's the daily. 1 minute the same, minor new highs. YM the same, minor new highs. Everything's getting stronger, better. I like it. Watch the stock market indexes. Could be developing something as far as the low is concerned. I just wish I had some better signals that I've got. You guys have a great day and profitable trading to you.